I want to talk to Tony. Tony's calling in from Mexico. Tony, what's going on?
Hello, Dan.
Hello, Tony.
Yeah, well, I have a few. I've been on these groups on Facebook and Instagram and other media, and I keep getting these I forgot to ask Genevieve something really quick.
Sure.
Because I do want to get to my question and I don't want to derail it. I just want to know if she's going to be like on Discord after this.
I will be.
We will both be on the Discord after show, so definitely check that out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, because I don't want to derail. So I keep getting these posts about doctors saying how the vaccine is bad and harmful. And there's a lot of them. So how would you explain that there's so many doctors, so many people that I have looked up? I have a list of names actually, and it's a lot of them, and they're genuine, physicians, and they say that the vaccine is adverse. Well, depending on the version, but
sure.
I guess the Moderna is sort of the worst.
One thing is, the requirements for being a doctor is very different depending on where you live. And the stringency of those conditions of being a doctor are also going to vary. And also, just because your name has an MD next to it doesn't necessarily mean that you went to the same kinds of medical schools that other countries consider account. For example, in the United States, chiropractor school is not medical school. So you have to go to medical school to have that MD title here. So any chiropractor that has an MD, they went to medical school. Otherwise, they might have another kind of title, usually like, they'll put there's other different acronyms and stuff that they use. So you got to be careful on those acronyms. Make sure that they are actually doctors and went to medical school, because I guarantee you, most of them are not. And if they did, they probably went to some shady ones in other countries where, again, you can kind of get around some of those laws. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of like medical scams really work, and lend credibility to these alternative medicines, is because, this person who has this background is endorsing it, therefore this must be good. But you should know, Tony, that the vast majority of people with MDs on their title say that you should get the vaccine. And the ones who want to convince you otherwise, those are the ones that are buying ads on Facebook. Those are the ones that have something to sell you, right? So there's something else going on there. It's got to be, an end game to that for sure.
Yeah. Tony, I'm so glad that you called in this week, because I don't know if you've ever watched, there's a show Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, and this past Sunday, he literally just talked about this problem that we have, specifically on websites like Facebook, where they have plenty of fact checkers for any group that that uses English as their language, but for all of these international groups, all of these groups that are going to be in Tagalog or Spanish or anything else, they, for some reason, even though they are a multi-billion-dollar company, they are not putting the resources where they're needed to really keep up with how much disinformation is flowing through in just non-English languages. And so that is actually a really big systemic problem that we're seeing right now, where in these Facebook groups, you'll have somebody who is pretending to be a doctor, or is like sharing this meme that has been, debunked countless times in English. But if you are in Mexico or El Salvador or in Guatemala or anywhere else, then it's very likely that that misinformation is going to make it through the pipeline, and it's going to be shared dozens and dozens of hundreds of thousands of times. It's a really big problem that we're seeing right now. And really, I mean, the best thing that you can do is just, don't trust anything you see on Facebook. There's a lot of really good, every major university that I know has a COVID-19 vaccine website that just has fact sheets that will sort of give you information, give you links to studies, give you anything that you need to know, answer any questions that you might have. And just as ObjectivelyDan said, these vaccines are objectively safe, and you should definitely get them and talk to your own doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
funny that you say they are safe, but I just have an article about how it in the UK. I think it was the Pfizer version of the vaccine. It's giving people that are below 29 years old, I think, the young people, they're having high cases of surprisingly high number of cases of people that develop myocarditis
Yeah. Yep.
because of the vaccine.
Yeah.
And this is
So if you wouldn't mind, Tony, I just have to say, so yes, there are cases of myocarditis. That is a side effect of the vaccine. It's a rare one, but we are seeing it, and we are seeing it in young people. There's something very, very important to note about that, which is that viral myocarditis is something that you can get if you have COVID-19 itself. And if you develop myocarditis due to a virus, then that is actually an incredibly serious problem, and it can lead to some very serious complications. However, the myocarditis that you're seeing in young people as a result of the vaccine is something that is very treatable. It shows up within the first 2 weeks, and it is something that goes away on its own. Yes, it is an issue. Yes, it happens. Vaccines, just like anything, there's going to be side effects, there's going to be issues. But even so, it is objectively safer to get the vaccine, even with those minimal risks, than it is to risk getting COVID and potentially developing a viral myocarditis that could be much more serious.
Yep, it's true. There are side effects for taking aspirin. There is no drug in the world that is going to be completely safe from every single possible outcome. But like the stuff that we're seeing, like Genevieve was saying, is either treatable or is actually coming from something else that isn't the vaccine, and people are misreporting it because they have an agenda or they want to. They just don't trust this whole thing, But yeah, like every source that has been available has said that this has been safe. It's also been out in the public for over a year now. So, if it was really bad, we would see stuff, but we
almost
don't.
Yep, almost half of the global population has been vaccinated already.
Yeah.
If we were to see issues,
there were.
You can go ahead, Tony.
Oh, sorry. Well, do you think if the consequences were really bad, if, for example, these myocarditis cases were worse than they report, they would be trying to hide them?
I would say no.
How would you tell?
So I would say no, because look at exactly what happened with the Janssen vaccine earlier this year. We had, what was it, 6 deaths, I believe, due to blood clots. Was it? There was a case where there were 6 people, I believe, and I'm so sorry I don't have the numbers in front of me. I should really look it up in this time. But there were a small handful of people who immediately had complications and passed away, and it wasn't even a dozen people, and they immediately stopped administering the vaccine so it could be studied further. The something to understand is that it's not like there's this big boogeyman that's trying to hide all of this stuff. I mean, I work with scientists almost on a daily basis, with my job. And it's just individual people who want to do good research and put out good products and help people. If there were some sort of crazy conspiracy in which these, Moderna or Pfizer would be hiding these adverse side effects, there would have to be hundreds of thousands of average Joe regular scientists who are just normal people doing good work who would have to be in on it. A conspiracy like that would not survive because it would immediately come out. There would immediately be a whistleblower. So that's something that you definitely don't need to worry about. What do you think, Dan?
I agree with you, and people need to understand the research methodologies that happen when you're studying new drugs, and what that looks like, and obviously with vaccines as well. Whenever we are taking into account how somebody is feeling and what their side effects are, they have registers of list of everything that you're coming in for. Okay, so like if I'm coming in and I need some anti-anxiety medications and I have a broken arm, they're gonna account for that, and that's why you're kind of seeing some of these correlations sometimes with different things when it's really related. There was a really big scare when the research papers for the virus was first coming out, because there was some deaths initially than people who got vaccinated. But like one of them was like a car accident. Like some of it was just stuff that like another one I think was like was heart problems, but it was somebody who had like prior conditions and stuff. So like that kind of stuff really gets misconstrued by these conspiracy types and says, look, they have the data, it's here, they just don't want to report on it. Well, they're not reporting on it because it's not significant. It's not going to affect the average person. So it's not something that people have to really worry about. So there's a lot to this, Tony, but I'm glad that you're calling attention to it.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad. Thank you, Tony, for calling it and just looking for answers, because it is scary. It's really scary, and I can understand why a lot of people are hesitant. I mean, we roll these vaccines out really fast. COVID itself is really scary. When you hear that it's new technology, I can understand 100% why you would be hesitant, but I encourage you to keep digging, keep looking for reputable sources. Call in as many times as you want to ask questions about this. I think it's just anything that you can do to be comfortable in the decision that you make. And I really, really hope you get vaccinated.
Yes. That's about all the time we have for this call. But thank you, Tony. If you want, you can come talk to us on the after show. And anybody else can as well. That's going to be on the fan Discord server for that. So check out that after the show, and we'll talk to you then.